Okay, so we're recording.
Wonderful.
All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Janelle Mercado and I am the project coordinator for the Supporting Inclusive Practices project. And I am unbelievably thrilled to have Kristen here with us today. Kristen, can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Happily and equally thrilled, Janelle. My name is Kristen Nottle-Powell and I work for Yuba County Office of Education, and I am the principal of our preschool special day class programs.
So Kristen, tell us about your preschool special day class programs.
So currently, we're really trying to increase our inclusive learning opportunities. We're really trying to expand that least restrictive environment continuum of options that we're offering. So really right now, we're at that % of time included. And what we have been able to do is prioritize 3 sites for offering inclusion, because we've purposefully co-located our state preschool programs with our special day class preschool program. So they're right next to each other, literally on the same campus. And we've been able to do that for 4 of our programs. We have one that's segregated and it's up in the foothills, but we have 3 co-located on state preschool campuses with our Marysville Joint Unified School District partners.
That's amazing. And you're in the earlier stages. So tell us a little bit about what you did to launch the beginnings of this work and this journey.
Well, it's always a partnership, and nothing like this happens on your own. And it's opportunities and windows of opportunity and just being willing to consider. So our SELPA director connected us with a representative from the Supporting Inclusive Practices project and said, hey, you know, there's dollars for inclusion. Are you interested? And we're like, well, we're always interested in dollars. And so we actually met, and when I say we, it was our state preschool partners from Wheatland and Marysville. And we got to connect with the representative from the SIP project, and we got to launch an idea. And the idea simply was that, boy, wouldn't it be great if we could do professional development together? If we could bring state preschool teachers and general education, state preschool teachers and special education teachers together in the same place at the same time, learning together about inclusive learning practices together. And that shared opportunity creates relationships and community, and then helps to open up those conversations for how do we do inclusion better. And so that's really what we sold, was that shared professional development. And the wonderful person said, yes, we'll give you dollars for that. and then the planning moved forward from there with, you know, regular meetings and opportunities to talk, and then plan those professional developments and really make it happen. So that's kind of what sparked it. And then it led into other grant opportunities. So once you open that window of opportunity and you had that mindset of, well, you know, often we say the dollars are hard and inclusion's hard because we don't have the money. But then you think, well, there's grant dollars out there, let's follow them. And our SELPA director was wonderful in directing us to grant opportunities. And so we threw our hat in the ring, Janelle. We figured we'd have a go. And so we wrote I'm going to have to look it up. We wrote a grant for Inclusion Early Education Expansion Program. We just call it the EVE grant. And that got us more dollars. But really, it was about braiding the money and braiding the opportunities and bringing the dollars together. And you could see how grants kind of backed onto each other. And you got people in on the vision together. So we were able to write that and get more money, which was wonderful.
Well, and I love what you're talking about. You truly took a system approach where you utilized the community partnerships with the districts, the county office, all the folks in your region, the statewide system of support, including the SIP project, and we're so happy you're a grantee. But then in addition to that, you thought, what is our starting point? You brought together those relationships and those teachers to do some professional learning and collaboration. It's brilliant. It's wonderful
exciting
place to start.
It's exciting and it's fun. Every time we do shared professional development, and we do it regularly, and we do it via Zoom because of COVID, but just having everyone together in the same space and having conversations about children's behaviors and how to address them, or how to use visual supports, or how do we change our own mindsets around behaviors so that we can be helpful and supportive for all kids. And it's just great. And this didn't happen before. It did not happen pre our involvement with the SIP project. I mean, we were separate entities. You know, I wasn't talking to my state preschool directors. You know, I was Yuba County Office of Ed, and we did our thing, and we were next to your preschool programs. And yes, we said hi and played together sometimes. Now we intentionally plan and meet and talk, and they are very focused conversations around professional development for all of us together, so we can teach all children together. And, you know, how do we make that happen? And that's been huge. Even in this time of COVID, we've got what I consider to be the best professional development plan ever. And it just excites me no end that we were able to make it happen.
It's amazing. Well, and you keep talking about this braiding of resources throughout the system and leveraging the expertise across your general and your special educators and coming together to create programming that's far more brilliant than if we were to do this separately. So one of the things that is often talked about, and we know that mindsets about inclusion can often really help or hinder the design of inclusive education. How did you communicate the importance of inclusive preschools and change the mindsets of administrators, teachers, families, so that they would be on board to supporting this work?
I think it was a twofold approach. And I think, again, referring back to the SIP project, you have those institutes that are open to all. And so we were able to send a team that included state preschool staff as well as special ed staff down to a SIP institute. And you have powerful presenters with strong messages around why this work is important and what we need to do to get there. It's not just selling the vision, but it's also providing the resources, the ideas, the strategies, the connections that we need to get questions answered. And so they were a really good place to grow the seed of working together, and we can do this. And the other, and I have to say this, our state preschool partners participated in training in conscious discipline, and that was a core part of our inclusive early education expansion grant application, where we asked for dollars to support, again, that professional development being rolled out to all staff. And it's really not a curriculum, it's really about community. It's a way of changing mindsets. If you want to change a child's behavior, you've got to start with you. If you want to change behavior, you've got to really be willing to talk about and confront your own biases. And, you know, there's such a crossover in working with special education. People bring preconceived ideas about people with disability, ideas about children and behaviors. And really, with conscious discipline, it's about the power of unity, and that's one of the skills they teach. And it's about having a community that is empathetic, compassionate, and willing to be of service to yourself and to others. And when I read that, I thought this has to be part of any inclusion programming, because that's what our families need. It's what our children need, is to belong to a community, to be included in their community, to be supported, to be seen for the skills and the strengths that they bring to their community. It's such an opportunity. And I just think that that was a core part of selling the message when, again, if I can have all staff playing together in the same sandbox with the same professional development toys, then we can have conversations together about things that excite us together. And the conscious discipline and that transformational change that is behind what they teach in their professional development is what we need for successful inclusion, community and family, and children and adults willing to be of service to others. That's what we're asking. That's what we're hoping, and we're seeing it. It's just precious.
I love it. It really is showing how much you all honor and value every single student and family that comes through the door.
Yes. Yes, Janelle, it's for them.
All right, so we know that to redesign a system takes time, and there are often challenges along the way. What are the most common barriers to designing inclusive preschools?
I think licensing is a huge part of the conversations that we have around how we're going to make this happen, because there's really clear differences between how a state preschool is licensed and then how special day class preschool programs can operate. And so you run into barriers of, well, a state preschool has to be licensed for a certain number of children. So if you bring your special day class preschool children into that space, you're now exceeding capacity. And I just want to say, I just want them to waive the rule. Just waive the rule, please. But it's, you know, it's a big ticket item, because if you lose your license, then you lose a state preschool, and there's such an important service to the community and to our families and for all kids. So, but we want to be able to have those points of access. We want that increased inclusion. We want to be included in the space, and we don't want to hear that there's a rule that we can't, because we go over the count for the space. So there's also differences in days allocated for training. And so state preschool staff have a certain number of days, as do my special day class preschool teachers, but it's not the same number of days. And we really learned about that when we were establishing our professional development calendar for this year. But that's a success story. So I don't know if you want to include that in this question about barriers. But licensing is challenging. That, and then as part of licensing also is that state preschool programs work really hard to meet licensing requirements, and that includes their environments. And so you have environmental rating scales that are part of that, where people come in and rate the environment. And so it brings up questions, well, if you're going to have children with special needs and you're going to change the environment to meet their needs, will that take away from children's learning opportunities? So we often think about spaces being, in our preschool programs for children with special needs, being tailored to their needs. And so it can look like less clutter, less stuff, less visuals or pictures that crowd a room, you know, less noise, less bodies. And yet you think of a typical state preschool classroom and it's all of that and more. And so how do you bring the two together? And yet when you go and look at programs that are doing inclusion, one of the nice things you see that I've seen in state preschools, they've moved away from brightly colored rooms of lots and lots of stuff, and they're really embracing I call it the IKEA effect, where they're really looking at having a sense of calm in the room, removing overly bright colors, and then having toys stored in cupboards that are uniform, beige color, toys that are kept in wicker type baskets. And probably state preschool people know how to say this better than me, but it's a thing that they're doing. And when I walk into those spaces where they've done that, I get what I call the IKEA feeling, which is a sense of calm because the space is uniform. And really, that's what our children need too. That's what I need as an adult. I need a sense of calm in the space that I'm learning in. So again, that's that rating scales, that environmental rating scales comes up as a question, because we want quality programs for all children. And so how do we meet the needs of all children in the same space?
So you all have really figured out some great strategies for mitigating those barriers of combining even the physical space and the professional learning opportunities across teachers so that you have more alignment.
We do. We're trying. We're working on it. We're having the conversations, Janelle. They're important.
They are. They sure are. So what are some of the myths to designing inclusive preschools from your experience? And what have you done to dispel those myths?
Well, when we talked about this, you know, the myths are that it should be easy. You would think that it should be easy, and it's not. I think everybody's heart is there. Everybody's heart wants inclusion to happen. I don't think I've met a person who doesn't. But then you get down to the brass tacks of the how-tos. And the how-tos are hard, and sometimes they feel insurmountable. They really do. And you think, how are we going to get there? And the other point to make is that it's not a quick process. It's not a quick fix. It's not something you can mandate and say, we're doing this, because I think it'll just be failure. We really approached it from the perspective of that we want our staff teaming together through professional development so that all staff have knowledge and experience of the skills needed to teach all children. And we really want to build relationship and rapport between staff through shared professional development, so that we can then bring that shared understanding into the classrooms when we do teach together, or so that we can have those important conversations around how do we change the room to accommodate a particular child's needs. Those relationships are important. That ability to communicate together is important. And I think you have to go slow to go far. And under COVID conditions, it feels like we're going very, very slow, because COVID is its own life barrier and challenge right there. And it's frustrating, but it is what it is. But I think those relationships and conversations need to happen, and that they're powerful, and we need to be able to connect and care together so that we can teach children together.
Yeah. I love what you said about going slow to go far. This is a journey. It takes time, and we have that sense of urgency because we want to support every single one of our children and families. And it is also very, very important that we're systematic about how we design and redesign the system so that it doesn't fail, so that it's sustainable.
Yes, you want people to be successful. You want staff to feel successful. You want everyone involved to feel that, yes, we can do this. And what's more, I've got the skills to do this. And where I feel I'm failing, I've got resources to ask for help.
Yeah. So, educators, we often talk about evidence-based practices, and, we want to know how to design a system that benefits all kids. What are a few of those evidence-based practices that you would recommend to support students with disabilities in early education?
Well, if you want to go brass tacks and talk working in the classroom tomorrow, then there's nothing better than visuals. Pictures, 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 people. We all use our cell phones. We love our icons. We know where to find our favorite app. Why? Because it's a picture. And our children are no different. And this is for all children. Children need pictures. If you want to support a child, any child, if you can visualize a rule, if you can visualize an instruction, if you can provide a visual support to teach what you want to teach, then you're helping all kids to learn. And to the Gen Ed people out there listening to this today, your special ed teachers are experts at visual supports. You just reach out and ask them. They will have a visual support that you didn't even know existed. We have help icons, we have request safe space icons, we have my turn icons, and favorite first then cards. First sit down, then play with toy, or first clean up, then play outside. But we picture it, because words can be overwhelming, and for children who are not yet understanding words, words can be a trigger for behavior. But if you can share a visual, you can show them what they need to do, then that's really helpful. Pictures are key.
That's a great suggestion. So, I don't know about all of the listeners. Well, I have no doubt that all of the listeners have been inspired by your story, by your journey, by all of the really amazing hard work that you all are doing. So if I'm someone who wants to learn more about Yuba County's preschool programs, how might we contact you?
Oh, here's my number, people. It is 530-749-4990. I do listen to my answering machine, and I do answer it. And I'm sure Janelle will be able to put my email address up somewhere, because it's one of those horrible long ones, kristen.nottle-powell@yubacoe.k12.ca.us. That is a long one.
We will make sure we have transcripts attached to this. So we will make sure we have some closed captioning. So
is there one more thing that I can share, Janelle?
I love it.
I have one more thing that we're super proud of, and it really ties into our professional development plan. What we were able to do was achieve alignment between our school calendars. So our Marysville Joint Unified School District school calendar and our Yuba County Office of Ed school calendar, for those minimum days, which are targeted for professional development, we got buy-in from both to create a professional development calendar so that we can offer professional development to both state preschool and special day class staff on the same day during the day at no cost, because we don't need subs. You don't have to travel anywhere. We're utilizing our, now I should remember, this is where you have to pause it and fix it. We are using our local talent to present the training through First 5. We've got expert trainers in inclusive learning practices, and they are the people that are coming in and doing our training with all staff together. And these are people who know our community. They know our teaching teams, because it's the same people who go in and do the rating scales, the environmental rating scales, and provide supports in state preschool so that the programs are exceptional programs, which they are. So we don't have to have subs to release staff for training. We have days that are allocated to learn about inclusion together. We have local people who are training us, who are experts in inclusive learning practices, who know us. And that is just phenomenal. And we were just so proud about that we could align our calendars and create essentially free inclusive learning training. Took a lot of work and a lot of agreement. You know how hard it is to do that school calendar every year. And we did too, and made those days line up. Woohoo!
That's amazing. It really is. I mean, talk about seeing a barrier and completely removing the barrier, and what that now does to open access for so many more wonderful opportunities. I'm
Yes.
so impressed.
Yes, it
Well,
does. Thank you.
I cannot thank you enough for your time, your energy, your passion. We are very, very fortunate to get to partner with you all, and we look forward to more about your journey in the future.
Absolutely, Janelle. And I wish you all well.
Thank you.